Right, starting a painting is always the worst bit. I think I'm going to just place in a few lights and establish some of the darks. I use mostly pastels. I find they have a good range of colours. Other people tend to think that pastels are quite sort of cheap way of painting, but actually, because you need so many pastel sticks to paint a picture, because you can't mix colours like you can with watercolour or oil paint, so you need an awful lot of pastels, and at something like £2.50 per stick, that soon mounts up, and I've got hundreds here, so it is quite a costly way of painting, but it's a lovely direct medium. It lends itself to animal portraits and some landscapes. I tend to do most of my painting is landscape. I do like doing the occasional animal portrait, and I've been asked to do some for the gallery I deal with down in Devon. So I'm taking four or so of my animal portraits down to the Affordable Art Fair. And you can see I'm just really scrubbing in the rough tones. No accuracy at the moment. Same as in oils, you want to get the board or canvas covered as quickly as possible. So really never get bogged down with any detail in the early stages of a painting. You'll see that I use my fingers quite a bit to blend and smudge the colours. And I do like to take the pastel stick out of its paper wrapping, so you can use the pastel on the side, broad sweeps of colour. Stops you fiddling. So, rather similar to oils, I like to place in the dark undertones first and work into that with my lighter tones. I do find it quite frustrating with pastels, because even though I've got hundreds, I usually find there's a colour I need and I don't have it. I've just ordered a load, some of which have arrived this morning, but I'm still lacking in a good, rich, dark brown tone. I've focused in on the painting itself, so you probably can't see my head constantly twisting to look at my subject, in this case a static photograph, as I said, that I took on a trip Jane and I had up in Skye earlier last year, where I'm doing a landscape commission. But I saw these Highland cattle. We went past one of the moorlands, just had to stop the car and get out and take a few photos of these magnificent beasts. They always make great subjects for paintings. And there's that's just roughed in very quickly without any detail. The gap between me actually placing marks on the board and when I'm searching for the colours. I'm a bit of a messy worker. I do have them sort of laid out in a rough order, as I said at the start, but with frantic painting I do tend to put them down in the wrong place and then I can never find them. This colour I'm putting down is actually a black, a colour I never use in my oil painting. I prefer to mix my own blacks or darks anyway, but these won't be left black, it's just a dark tone. Almost down to my last few swipes with this beautiful rich dark burnt sienna colour. Now better just place a few tones for the horns. It's drawn. Beautiful tones in here, blues and purples. The photograph isn't perfect by any stretch. It has a lot of the lights of the coat are somewhat bleached out, so I shall be guessing somewhat, going on memory. Painting a Highland or any form of cattle that have big horns that go upwards are never easy to get a good composition, because you want to include obviously all the horn. You don't want it chopped off. You can chop off a tree, but you don't want to chop off the horns of an animal, because it's obviously one of the main features. But if the horns are very long and go upwards, then you've got a lot of space at the top here, which is kind of a vacuum which you've got to fill. And I always say to people, there we go, I'm putting the colours in the wrong place here as I'm speaking. I always say to people when I do demos, never neglect your background. It's one of the worst things I've seen with animal studies is where people do a good portrait but it just has a white background or a blank, very monochrome background. The background is just as important. Here you can see the heather of the hills, but I'm not going to be putting that in. I'm just going to suggest colours and use complementary colours complementary colour of orangey brown is blue, so I should be employing some blues in the background to make them sing, make the orange colour sing. I'm at it again, putting the colours in the wrong place. Ill-disciplined. What I really need is a team of people like a surgeon, and just ask for scalpel, light green, purple grey, these colours are still very rough. These fiddly bits try to make these horns look cylindrical, so that they look as though they are, especially this one is coming out of the picture. Give it that depth, give the illusion of 3 dimensions is always great fun. Now let's just, before I go any further, let's just suggest a few colours. That might be a bit fierce, that blue. But I like to get the background coming along at the same stage as the animal itself, and not do the whole animal and then put the background in. He wants to come as part of the picture. I'm just going to put a few tones. This may not stay blue, but it looks like I'm painting with my thumb. It's just a bit of the pastel stick left over. So we'll just throw some tones, and this is where you want a nice soft pastel. It's just going to be a rough tone, maybe just a hint of some pink, dyed black heather in the background. This is where you can use the heel of your hand to blur off the colours. So I don't know whether this blue is going to stay, but you can remove it with an old oil hog brush and scrub it off. So we'll see how it looks as the painting progresses and evolves. Never quite sure how it's going to end up. Put a bit of green in there. I don't know whether that's going to stay either. It's really feeling your way in, deciding what goes where. I like to employ counter change, i.e. light against dark and dark against light in various places. So the bottom of the horn is quite dark, the top is light, so I'll suggest a dark tone in there. Not sure what colour yet, but just get the general feel of the tone rather than the colour. Tone is more important than colour, as I've said in my demos. If you think of a black and white photograph, it obviously has no colour. but it can look right because the various tones of black and white and all tones in between, all the greys, they look right. So you know the photograph is, it reads right. If the tones are wrong, then it just won't read right. And of course, if you can get the combination of colour and tone, then you're on to a winner, hopefully. Right. Just talk amongst yourselves while I find some colours. Attempt to find some colours.